Alright, today we're talking about triangles. Now, a triangle is a figure of three sides and three angles. The vertex is the point where those segments intersect. So right here would be a vertex, right here would be a vertex, right here would be a vertex. The sum of the measures of the angles of a triangle. If you add up every angle, the three angles of a triangle, you get 180 every time. It has to be 180. If you didn't get 180, you did something wrong. Because a triangle has to add up to 180. And you can see this is angle X, this is angle Y, this is angle Z. X degrees plus Y degrees plus Z degrees gives you 180 every time. Alright? And we can use that to our advantage. We can use that to figure out one of the angles, or if two or three of the angles are all missing, we can figure out what they are because of this rule. Alright, so write this down. So here's a triangle. This is a symbol, triangle symbol. Means this is the triangle PQR, which it's named just what's on as vertices. This is vertices P, R, and Q. So they just name it PQR. And here it says find the measure of angle P. This is what M and then the angle sign means. Measure of angle P. So I want to figure out what this is. Well, if I know two of the angles, I can find the third one. Because I know that when I add P and R and Q together, I should get 180. So replace the letters with the numbers that I know, which I don't know what P is, so I can call it P or call it X. I know that R is 89 degrees, and I know that Q is 54 degrees. So now I just got to figure out what P is. Well, add 89 and 54. What is 89 and 54? P, okay, so P plus 143, 89 and 54 is 143, gives me 180. Now we've done this all year. We know how to solve for a variable. We look at what's being done to that variable and do the opposite. It's P plus 143, so I do the opposite. I would subtract 143 to both sides, which 180 minus 143 gives you 37. So P is 37 degrees. That's the missing angle measure, so that's my answer. Here it says in triangle ABC, if the measure of angle A is 60 degrees and the measure of angle B is 39 degrees, what's the measure of angle C? Well, I know A plus B plus C should give me what? 180. 180. A triangle always adds up to 180. I know that angle A is 62 degrees. I know that angle B is 39 degrees. I just gotta figure out what C is. So I add 39 and 62. So I know that C plus 101 will give me 180. So I look at what's being done to C, I do the opposite of it. I'm adding 101, so I subtract 101. So the measure of angle C is equal to 79 degrees. And that's my answer. The measures of the angles of triangle ABC are in this ratio, 1 to 3/8. What this means is that, let's say angle A is 1, okay, this is the first one. What that means is that for every 1 degree of angle A, B is 3 degrees. So if angle A was 1 degree, then angle B would be 3. If angle 1 was 10, then angle B would be 30. Okay? For every 1 degree, it's 3 degrees. So if angle A was 10, then angle B would be 30. If angle A was 20, then angle B would be 60. Okay? See a pattern? Right? You're taking whatever A is and you're timesing it by 3. So if angle A was 10 degrees, then angle C would be 80 degrees. You're timesing it by 8. So if angle A was, say, 20 degrees, then angle C would be 160 because I times it by 8. What we got to do is we got to figure out what X is, the first one. Right? And that's going to be able to tell us what the rest of them are. So here's what I do. I set it up at, just like we've been doing, A plus B plus C gives me 180. All right. Now I look at the first one, it says 1. So I'm just going to call it X. But be aware, they may not put 1 here. They may put something else. But it's just 1, so I'm just going to call it X. B, I'm going to call it 3X. Because for every 1 degree of A, it's 3 degrees of B. So if A is X, then B is 3X. What would be C? 8X. Because it's 8 of A, which A is X. And then that equals 180. Now we know how to do this. These are like terms because they all have the exact same variable. So I just add up the numbers in front. 1 plus 3 plus 8. Well, 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 8 is 12. So 12x equals 180. Have we seen problems like this before? Yes. 12 times a number gives me 180. So to find out what that number is, to find out what x is, I do the opposite of it. I'm timesing by 12, so I would divide by 12. And find that x is equal to 15. Because 180 divided by 12 is 15. Now, it says find the measures of the angles. Does it just say one angle? Let's say find measure angle A. Or does it want all of the angles? It wants all of them. So A, we could say, is 15 degrees. B would be how many degrees? 45. The 3 times the 15. 15 is x. 3 times x is 45. So C, 8 times 15 would be 120. Good, and then there's my answer. Now before I circle, I check my answer. Before I move on, I look and see, does this equal 180? What's 15 plus 45? 60 plus 120 is 180. So did I do it right? I must have. Right. Any questions? Here's what you need to do. You need to write down 1 to 3 to 6. And then I want you guys to set it up. You don't have to work it out, but I want you to set it up, and we'll come by and make sure you set it up right. And then I'll tell you if you did it right or if you did it wrong, and then you'll be allowed to work out the problem. So write down the ratio of 1 to 3 to 6 and set it up. So to set it up, you should have x for 1. Okay? What if that said 2? What if this was 2 right there? What would I put for the first one? Would I just put x? No, I'd call it 2x, right? Right? And then I'd add it to 3x and 6x. But it's not. Hey, it's just 1. So we just call it x. What would be the next angle? 3x. And the next angle? 6x. All of these are based off here and here and here. So this equals 180. If you add up all the angles, it equals 180. So now I combine these. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. Right? 10x equals 180. So divide both sides by 10. That gives you x is equal to 18. Alright. So 18 degrees is my first angle. What would be my next angle? 54, because 3 times 18 is 54. And what's 6 times 18? Do all these add up to 180? Yes, they do. So there's my answer. All right, now, I never call them A, B, and C because it doesn't tell me what the vertices are. But if you said A was 18, B is 54, I don't care. That's fine. Hey, if that's what you need to do. All right, any questions? All right, you need to write all this down. All right, so a couple things you need to know about triangles. If I talk about congruent angles or congruent sides, congruent angles are two angles that have the same measure. It's the same thing as sides. If I say something congruent, that means it's equal to each other. If it's an exactly 90 degrees, what kind of angle is this? What do we call it? What do we classify it? Right. It is a right angle. If it's less than 90 degrees, what do we call it? Acute. You should be writing this down. Between 90 and 180, we call that obtuse angle. Good. If it's exactly 180 degrees, we call it a straight line or a straight angle. All right. Any questions about that? All right, make sure you have those labeled because you're going to need to know those. All right. Write this down. Okay, your homework, some of what your homework's going to do today is going to be like the problems before where it was asking you, it'll give you a triangle and say, hey, find the missing measure C or find all the missing measures. And they'll also say to classify based off sides and based off angles. So make sure you do that. Make sure you read all the directions. Right? If it wants you to classify, make sure you do that. It will be wrong if you don't do all three things that it wants. Right? If you're basing it off angles, right? If it has all acute angles, it's considered an acute triangle. If it's got one right angle, then it's considered a right triangle. And if it's got an obtuse angle, such as here, then it's an obtuse triangle. So those are the names of triangles based off the angle. If it's based off the size, right? If it doesn't have any congruent sides, if it doesn't have any sides that are equal to each other, it's a scalene triangle. If it has at least two congruent sides, which they use tick marks to represent which ones are congruent to each other, then it's an isosceles triangle. At least two congruent sides is an isosceles. If all three of the sides are congruent, if three congruent sides are, then it's an equilateral triangle. Meaning equal on all sides. Okay? Any questions? Alright, you don't have to write these down, let's just look at them. Okay, the first one. Okay, based off angles, it has a what angle? Right. So this would be a right triangle. Based off the sides. Okay, well, let's look. Does it have any congruent angle or sides? No. Okay, there's no tick marks telling me that they're equal. Okay, and you can tell, is this side equal to this side? No. Okay, is this side equal to this side? No, right? And it most likely isn't equal to this side. So it's a scalene. It's a right scalene. You don't have to write that. We're trying to save you some time. The next one. Based off angles. It's an acute triangle because all the sides are acute. Or all the angles are acute. It has two sides that are congruent. So this is an isosceles. I'm just going to write iso. Just for abbreviation. And then the last one. Okay, what would be the angles? Acute. They're all acute. Right. And all the sides are equal. Three congruent sides give me an equilateral. Right. Any questions how to do that? No, so it'll ask you to find missing angle measures, and then it'll ask you to classify. Make sure you do everything it asks for. Here's your homework assignment for today.